we're all here, so we don't have to do the roll call, which is kind of strange for us. Good morning, everyone. This is a special time. We love being here in Springfield, and I want to thank Mayor Sarno before we begin for letting us use this space. We've been talking about it for a while, and it's such a gorgeous, beautiful space. Today is Thursday, November 13th. It's approximately 11:05 a.m. This is a convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, public meeting number 573. We're all together and not virtual, so we don't have to call roll call, which is nice. Everyone's here. And with that, we're going to go to item number 2, which are some welcome remarks from the mayor.
Okay, thank you, Steve. My old halfback here too. To again, Chairman Maynard, Jordan, and the commission members, thank you for what you do day in and day out, and thank you for coming back here to the city of Springfield to host your meeting. I'm here with my Chief Development Officer, Tim Sheehan, and also my CAFO, Kathy Bono, will be here. My city solicitor, Steve Bonacani, also. So, I want to talk about two subjects. First, while I am very appreciative on some of the things that MGM has done, I am still a little disappointed that the corner property of 101 State Street still is with Jersey barriers and blockage in that area. It's going on 7 years. MGM, the scaffolding, that's their MGM, is world renowned. They have deep pockets. The city of Springfield does not have those deep pockets. But in turn, my administration has purchased the building across the street, and now we're moving forward with development with McCafferty's out of Chicago. And in turn, my administration has purchased a building adjacent to MGM, and soon that'll be redeveloped. So, where I'm pleased with some of the things MGM has done, there has been no such movement, and this is on the host community agreement that 101 State Street was to be developed. And yet, what people see there all the time is Jersey barriers and scaffolding. That has to be resolved ASAP. Also, when you look across the street, great partner with the state. You see what we've been able to do with Court Square, the new garage Esplanade area that started with former Governor Charlie Baker and Karen Polito. It continued with now Governor Healy and Kim Driscoll. South entrance with the convention center will be going in on Main Street and State Street. So the only corner that is not going to be done or any movement occurring whatsoever is 101 State Street. And I want that scaffolding down. I want the Jersey barriers gone. And I want to see development as was such agreed upon on the host community agreement. And again, I'm appreciative and I'll commend MGM on some of the things they're doing. But this is going on 7 years and they are a world-renowned company with deep pockets. That has to be resolved ASAP. The other thing I'd like to speak about is the mitigation fund. And I understand with the lawmakers that they decided to shift and change the playing field, which was part of the deal. And I don't understand why money is being taken away from direct host communities. We've used that money for police, fire, Court Square, economic development projects on it. So I would hope that the legislative leaders and leadership would relook at that, especially for the direct communities on that. So again, I deeply appreciate you being here, but those are the two subjects that I wanted to speak about. 101 State Street, it's been way too long, and we need to see movement ASAP. Again, it's part of the host community agreement, and I'm moving as a city who does not have deep pockets to take care of all the surrounding areas. MGM, who has deep pockets, has neglected that property. And for a world-renowned company to still have scaffolding and Jersey barriers up is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And they need to step up their game on that. They've done some good things, and I'll be the first one to commend them. But with partnerships with the state, we're moving on to Convention Center. We got the parking garage done. Court Square is done. My administration bought the buildings across the street. McCafferty now, the redevelopment. We bought the building adjacent to them, parallel to them, and that's going to be redeveloped. I need MGM to do their part as they signed on the dotted line. And that's with all due respect. And I would hope the mitigation fund is relooked at again, especially for the direct host communities, because that is a lifeline for us, and it's been very proactive. Thank you for listening to me. And again, I deeply appreciate what you do day in, day out, and coming here to the city of Springfield. I wish you good health, continued success. The holiday season's coming up. Happy Thanksgiving. And Mr. Chairman, Jordan, good to see you again. And Rep. Hill, good to see you again. Thank you very, very much.
So thank you, Mayor, and thank you for being a great partner with the MGC. And we've known each other for many years. And the good thing I can say about the first piece that you addressed is that I see Gus and Daniel and Beth in the room, and so they heard you directly. That's one thing I can say about that. And then on the CMF funds, it is a great program, and as we've stated at the commission over and over again, as long as those funds exist, we're going to make sure they get out and get used to the best and highest use they can be used for. So thank you. I will note we do have other distinguished guests. Was there anyone else who wanted to follow up from your office, Mayor, or anyone wanted to say anything? Okay. All right. Well, Mayor, I would say your fantastic advocacy for your city. That's what we heard. So thank you. With that, we are going to move to item number 3, and we will go to the Chief of Community Affairs, and that's Joe Delaney. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you. We have a few items up for you today. The first one will be a presentation by the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. We have Kim Robinson, who's the Executive Director of the Planning Commission here. She's going to be talking about, excuse me, the Regional Business Ecosystem Network, which is a community mitigation fund project that was started in 2023 to try to help local small businesses develop additional capacity. In this project, we kind of bifurcated it a little bit and said, why don't you take the first look at a piece of this, and then, because we felt that, the focus might change a little bit, which is what indeed happened. So I think with that, I'll turn it over to Kim Robinson from PVPC for her presentation. Thank you.
Oh, good morning, and thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to present to you today and share some of the really great work we've been able to do with the CMF funds. We've actually gotten 3 different grants, and this is our first one. So part of what I wanted to do today is set just a little context, and Joe did a wonderful job of that, so I can spend a little less time on that. So when we originally applied for the 2023 fund, we were looking at that regional ecosystem business hub. And as Joe mentioned, we did do a split. The first part is a gap analysis. I'm going to ask Vanessa Otero to step up and talk about this. She completed this work for the PVPC, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about, we found some things and we decided maybe we needed to do a little pivot. We didn't always know what we didn't know until we actually did the analysis. So let's start with Vanessa.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Otero. I am a Senior Fellow of Economic Development at PVPC. Next slide, please. So I need you to bear with me a little bit. I have to give you information that you already know to put our work into the context that it deserves. When MGM Springfield opened in August 2018, it ushered in a potential for numerous benefits for the region, regional economy, including job creation, increased tourism, and high local revenues. In order to ensure that regional businesses participated in these opportunities, one of the metrics included in the host agreement between MGM and the city of Springfield identified $50 million as the annual minimum for local and regional procurement for goods and services. Even allowing for the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic during 2020 and 2021, the overall metric has to date not been realized. Within the agreement, there was also requirements for how the $50 million in local procurement would benefit specific communities: 2% on veteran-owned businesses, 15% on women-owned businesses, and 10% on minority-owned. While the targets for veteran-owned businesses have been consistently achieved since 2022, targets for women and minority-owned businesses continue to have fallen short each year of operation. Yet MGM Springfield's inability to meet its diversity procurement quotas may be related to the broader economic conditions of the region. As we're learning about some of the impacts of the casino, other efforts were: in 2021, the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission received a 2-year grant from the Economic Development Administration, the EDA, through the CARES Act to evaluate the economic impacts of COVID-19 on Hampden and Hampshire counties. It was also to be used to identify potential resiliency and mitigation-based economic opportunities. A multi-pronged work plan was developed to gain a deeper understanding of the obstacles thwarting regional economic recovery and to define potential solutions. Woven into these conversations were aspirations of developing an ecosystem, as Kim has mentioned, designed to help micro and small business growth and participate in procurement needs of local institutions. By the end of year 2, PVPC concluded that a gap analysis was a necessary first step to address the micro and small business landscape and its effect on various institutions, including MGM Springfield procurement goals. Based on the findings of the CARES Act work, PVPC applied for funding through the Community Mitigation Fund, as Kim has mentioned, and in August of 2023, we received over $485,000 through the FY 2023 program. The purpose of the grant was to review MGM Springfield in achieving its contractual obligations with respect to diversity procurement under the host agreement with the City of Springfield. The analysis encompassed direct outreach to minority and underserved communities, research data collection analysis, and the completion of a final report. The report provided a 360 look at discrepancies between current business services and the actual needs of minority and women-owned business, small and micro businesses in Greater Springfield. What we found was that despite the plethora of available services, there were critical gaps, particularly in areas that require minority and women-owned required specialized knowledge and resources. For example, minority and women entrepreneurs may struggle to find support for advanced financial planning, technology adaptation, and navigating complex regulatory environments. These gaps can leave entrepreneurs without the crucial tools they need to succeed. Community connectors were used to connect with various members of the small business community. And we define community connectors, folks who are in the business of helping small businesses, but also who have constituents like local elected officials and state officials. Each community connector and small business owner interviewed reported the need for capital and other forms of investment as the greatest need. This is particularly true for business owners with aspirations of partnering with anchor institutions like MGM Springfield. The second need is the need for technical assistance. Their definition of technical assistance varied greatly. And so at this point, this is the point where we pivoted, because the information that we found was that it wasn't so much that there weren't people out there working on small businesses, but that the gaps in capital provision were too great for small and micro businesses to actually achieve a point in their trajectory where they could scale. And so to that end, Kim will provide a little bit more context and what we thought would be a solution, or at least one of the solutions towards capital and technical assistance for small and micro businesses. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa. Okay, so part of the timing in terms of the grant that we received is we had other things that were happening in the state. So as a result of the work and the analysis that we did with the EDA funding that Vanessa mentioned and the 2023 Community Mitigation Fund grant, we were able to bring other resources into the effort. So in 2023, PVPC won one of only 8 national grants, the only one in New England from the EDA. It was technical assistance provided by the New Growth Innovation Network, a coalition from the US EDA and private foundations, all focused on developing resources that would increase economic growth and post-pandemic recovery. In 2024, PVPC was also awarded an Inclusive Economies Initiative grant from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. This initiative aims to support distressed post-industrial communities by connecting communities with capital for inclusive local economic development. Perfect. The slide work is right on track, so thank you. And in addition to that, there was other work in the Commonwealth, as I mentioned previously. So both Mass Inc. and the Coalition for an Equitable Economy released their own analysis that they did jointly of business development inequities and barriers faced by minority and women-owned businesses. This was titled The Color of Capital. Their conclusions echoed the findings of PVPC's research. Access to capital is the most significant barrier preventing businesses from starting up and from growing, really being able to get to the place of being able to provide the services to these larger institutions, such as MGM, as we've been talking about. In November of 2024, the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, which is an organization that is based out in Roxbury, analyzed the success rates of minority and women-owned businesses in obtaining business capital from conventional lenders. This report was called the Racial Wealth Gap, and their findings corroborated our work, Engines, the Coalition for an Equitable Economy. Conventional lenders systemically declined investing in minority and women-owned businesses, deeming them to be too risky. So, what are maybe some collaborative long-term solutions? Well, we found that one of the tools that is used across the country are what are called equity funds. Okay, so equity funds play a critical role in addressing these systemic disparities that are faced by minority entrepreneurs, particularly those operating micro and small businesses. These businesses often encounter significant barriers, as we've talked about, in accessing traditional financial services, really hindering their ability to grow and contribute more to economic development. They are 3 times more likely to be denied loans than non-minority firms. They receive, on average, smaller loans and 1.4% higher interest rates than their non-minority counterparts. So despite this rapid growth of minority businesses, access to capital and favorable terms on that capital is a great challenge. So we then posed the question, would creating a Pioneer Valley Fund that is focused around equity be a successful tactic in the Springfield area that could stimulate more minority and women-owned businesses and assist MGM in meeting their contractual obligations? All of our economic research points to yes, right? PVPC believes that this original proposal that we talked about in terms of the regional business ecosystem network is not actually aligned with the needs that we found through the gap analysis, hence the need to pivot. Knowing that access to working capital is so significant, PVPC believes that the greatest public benefit for phase 2 is focusing on the creation of a community-based fund that will focus on increasing access to capital. So what does that look like? At this point, we're talking about the creation of a $10 million 10-year closed fund that would specifically serve minority and women-owned businesses. This is an idea whose time has come. There are many different examples across the country. The Fund for Our Economic Future in Northeast Ohio is frequently held up as a national model. The Real People's Fund in Oakland has been undertaking similar work and has been for over 10 years. Closer to home, we have the Boston Impact Initiative, the Ujima Project, project, and PV Grows in Franklin County focuses on agricultural work. So these examples of specialized funds help to support these types of businesses. The confluence of research and activity on this topic has resulted in some initial steps being taken in the greater Springfield area. So as I mentioned, that Inclusive Economies Initiative Award from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, we've been able to start to use those funds to lay the groundwork for a community-based fund here in Springfield. Throughout this, the Federal Reserve Bank has been an active partner and supporter, providing connections to potential foundations whose missions are aligned with this objective. We are in active and productive discussions with local foundations. There are pending discussions with other potential funders to provide seed funding and future operational support. One thing I want to make sure that I identify here is no gaming commission funds, community mitigation funds will be used to seed the fund itself. We are talking about building the infrastructure to create this, but the raising of that capital not to be included as part of this grant. So where are we now? PVPC is undertaking a capital absorption study. It just kicked off. We're assessing the feasibility of creating this fund. Really, we want to make sure that if we have the money, will they come? We think the answer is yes, but it's always good to do this type of work. It would build on the economic research that we've already talked to you about today. We're committed to a significant community outreach and engagement for this work. We're contemplating hosting a minimum of 8 focus groups and community meetings with key stakeholders, various business owners in the community, practitioners, business associations, community-based organizations, and of course our potential end users, so that we make sure we get our offerings for the fund correct. We need to understand what those products need to look like. We anticipate that through the capital absorption study and the community-based engagement, additional information is going to be identified that's going to be necessary for the successful creation of the fund. So we're also aware that this could encompass information that isn't currently captured anywhere. One outcome of this project that we have been considering and also talking with the local foundations about is the development of new lines of data around local economic development, and also the ability to continue to update those lines of data so that we have more information. And with that, that is the end of our presentation. We're certainly happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Commissioners, questions for Kim or Vanessa?
Hi. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With state funding, with its goals being very much in line with what you're talking about for your local entity company. That is a terrific idea. Have you, and honestly, I don't know the try to do it all again. Oh, God. It's not what I was expecting, Mr. Mayor. God bless you. I'll try to keep it a little bit tighter. So there's been legislation over the years, quite frankly. It seems to have been getting a little bit of momentum over the past couple of sessions around this idea of a Commonwealth Bank, which would, in very rough form, would be analogous to essentially a statewide Commonwealth Equity Fund. Have you all looked into that at all? Is that something that you are tracking? I know it can be very frustrating sometimes as a former member to know that waiting for the legislature to act is not always a great plan.
Sure.
Right? So if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear.
I do, and thank you so much for the question. So one of the things that we've definitely identified is that these financial needs are on a spectrum, right? And so sometimes we talk about Common Capital, which is the CDFI here in Western Massachusetts. Common Capital is great. We love working with Raymond, and they meet needs kind of at this level of the spectrum. We're talking about trying to target those capital needs at maybe this level of the spectrum. And so when we talk about a Commonwealth Bank, I anticipate 2 things. One, I think it's going to pop in the capital absorption study as a potential solution and where things are in terms of the conversation at the legislature. And you've brought this up. I will make sure, I will go back and talk to our consultant to make sure that we do that. I think the second piece is, because it's a spectrum, there's room for everybody. Yeah.
The other thing, I'm not surprised by the results in terms of access to capital, but I'm wondering if, and this might be part of the scope of the entrepreneurship here in the area, workforce development. Is that something you see as a priority need? Understanding that without capital, none of it matters, right? You can't grow. But if you could tell me a little bit about workforce development, which the commission has tried to support in the past through community mitigation funds. Just wondering where we're at with that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So I'm going to go a little off track. PVPC is also the economic development district for Hampden and Hampshire County. So we completed our comprehensive economic development strategy last year, and workforce development is one of the pillars that we've identified that needs some work in the region. It needs work in every region, let's be honest. We always need to be working towards that. So I guess I would split this a little bit in two ways. When we think about the fund itself, we've also talked about technical assistance, right? That there are skills that are needed. And while maybe that's not the traditional workforce development that we're kind of talking about, I do think it's a necessary step. We definitely found this in all of our studies, a necessary step to help companies not only start up, but really be able to grow effectively. On the workforce development side, PVPC has actually just stepped into that workforce development space last year. I'm going to brag a little bit on the fact that we have the first quantum training academy in the entire Commonwealth. We had our first cohort graduate in June. The second cohort, we're having our celebration for that a week from yesterday. So next week, we're doing that. And today, Vanessa just shared with me that we have the first graduate who has actually been hired at a quantum adjacent organization for $24 an hour. So we're seeing definite growth there. Now, when it comes to additional workforce development, we have been meeting and working with the Hampden County Workforce Board to discuss more about what we can do and really prioritize in, quite frankly, what is a time of limited federal funding to be able to try and address some of the issues that we can prioritize now. I also want to make sure to call out Vanessa. Vanessa was the brain behind the Quantum Training Academy. She always gets embarrassed when I do this, but it's true. And so thank you so much, Vanessa.
Now that is all great stuff. And one thing I want to highlight about all the work you've done is that you're listening, right? You're going out into the community and saying, all right, there's a ton of research, right, of every bucket of economic development, but it doesn't work unless you go out into the community and say, all right, what are the needs? How can we help you help yourselves? And that's clearly reflected in your work. So very nice job.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my mic was on, so thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any further questions or comments? I will, I guess I'll ask this question. We put, and you'll probably hear it when we do our quarterly report, we put a lot of pressure on MGM Springfield to make sure that they are hiring diversely and that they are also contracting. So in the entire commission, it's been a priority for all of us. Is this a natural place for that to be a link and a work together?
I think so. And again, part of what we discovered, right, is if the local companies don't have the ability to grow to do the production that MGM needs, then obviously there's some other pieces that need to work there. And that's, again, what we think in terms of the fund itself. So I do think it's a natural partnership.
I do too. That was a question with a statement attached. Well, thank you so much, Kim, and thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you very much. And thank you for trusting us with Gaming Commission funds. We're very excited to be working with you. Thanks.
Exciting work. All right. Chief Delaney, turning it back to you.
Thank you. So next up, we have MGM Springfield to do their third quarter report. We're joined by Gus Kim and Dan Miller, as usual, along with Beth Ward. And I didn't see Arlen. Is Arlen here today? Arlen Carballo. But with that, I will turn it over to Gus for the third quarter presentation.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Welcome to Springfield. It is great to see you in person and for us to be able to present our Q3 report to you live. It's been a couple of years since you've been to Springfield, so we welcome you. We look forward to speaking with you, and hopefully we get a chance to interact after this meeting is over. As you know, my name is Gus Kim, Vice President, Legal Counsel. And with me today, I have Dan Miller, our Director of Compliance, and Beth Ward, our Director of Public Relations. There is a new face that you are going to see today. Some of you may know that Arlen Carballo, our Head of Finance, has left MGM. She is now pursuing her degree in business administration at a school out on the West Coast. So unfortunately, we have lost Arlen, a great team member, but we wish her all of the best in her future endeavors. So with me today is Winter Hawkins, our Director of Finance. She is leading our team as we look for a permanent replacement for Arlen. And so you will hear Winter Hawkins speak today. So with that, I turn this over to Winter to go with some financial information. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We can go to the
Welcome.
next slide, our first slide. So third quarter, our gaming revenue, we generated 71 million in revenue, which equated to 18 million in taxes. Next slide. Our year-to-date gaming revenue is 212 million with about 53,000 in taxes. Next slide, please. Sports wagering, MGM generated almost 18,000 in sports wagering tax. 15,000 in sports wagering taxes, and BetMGM generated 2.6 million. Next slide. Our Q3 lottery sales were 557,000, which is a 36% increase from our prior year. And on next slide, our year-to-date currently sits at about 1.4 million, which is a 19% increase over prior year. Next slide, please. So of our biddable spend for the third quarter, we generated about $1 million in diversity spend, of which 3% went to MBEs, 3% to veterans, and 10% to women-owned businesses. And next slide. Local spend, our local biddable spend, we generated 2.8 million, which is 39% to local vendors and 46% to Massachusetts vendors, which was 3.1 million. And then our next slide. On this slide, we're showing our events, our procurement events and efforts that we've done over the quarter. So our team attended 3 events, two, I love this saying this acronym, GNES MSDC, their quarterly roundtable and a virtual matchmaker. And then they also attended a NEPM event. So NEPM is one of our diverse vendors that we've used since opening, and we continue to work with them. So they did a trade show that our team enjoyed attending. One thing to note that is actually not on this slide and is not necessarily third quarter related, but we thought this was important. Our team currently, as we speak right now, they're in Rhode Island at a GNE MSDC event, and we took home so far 2 awards today. So our warehouse manager, procurement manager, he's kind of 2 titles. He won an award for Buyer of the Year, and I was actually awarded an award for Advocate of the Year. So those were taking place today. Next slide. I'm going to jump into employment before I kick it back over to Dan. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. So for our employment for the quarter, we had 54% minority workforce, 5% veterans, and 40% women, of which 40% are Springfield. 40% of our entire workforce is Springfield residents. And then next slide, please. Continuing in some of our efforts in the community for workforce and hiring initiatives, we've continued our property tours and career fairs. We did a few workforce development events with Dress for Success, which we are very proud of. We facilitated the resume workshop and the job search workshop, which a few of our employees went over and provided guidance to the women in attendance to those events. Next slide. I'm going to turn this over now to Dan Miller to talk about some compliance stuff.
Thank you so much. Yep. I'm fine with questions right now.
Is it?
If it if it's on your mind right now, let's get it out there. I think.
Correct. Yes. We do have some ebbs and flows of our spend throughout the year. So middle of the year, we do see some a little lowers as we do some bulk spending, usually first quarter and into fourth quarter. So we do anticipate a pickup in fourth quarter. We do have, I mean, in some of the categories, veterans, we meet, and we've been fine with that category. But women and minority, we do struggle as there are not a lot in the area that meet all of our needs. So we do the best that we can and try to work towards those goals as best as we can.
Continue to do so.
And yes, and continue to do so.
Oh,
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions since we have break? Since you had us take that break. All right.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Miller.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for coming to Springfield. Love to see you here. Before I get into my compliance slide, seeing as it is 2 days after Veterans Day, and Beth and I were here just 2 days ago, honoring our veterans. It's a very special event to me. A lot of veterans in my family. I back in the day, did attempt to join the Royal Air Force and then moved to the United States. So that changed ever so slightly. But just wanted to give a shout out to the veterans and thank them for all their service in this public environment. But if we can move to the next slide for compliance, I feel I've actually got good news to obviously provide on this slide. I see the smile from you, Commissioner O'Brien, and of course, usually speaking, I speak to the direction that this is going. I think what I will point out is the number of zeros that are on this slide, which is great. If you would like to know about the lengthiest intrusion of an underage being only 18 minutes this time, past iterations have seen an hour, 2 hours, or something like that. That was on July 4th. It was an 18-year-old who slipped by security when security was actually serving another guest at the time. And with it being a busier event and day, I think it just took a little longer for them to find them within the gaming area. But as you can see, we only had we had no instances of gaming and no instances of actual alcohol consumption. It was just the actual access that happened in these occasions. So we continue to strive in the same direction, and hopefully we can just keep zeros coming. So
you beat me to it. I was going to laud you for the drop in the numbers. Is it in part because of cordoning off the space that you've been able to keep the numbers down?
Yes. I think the continued growth of the handrail that we placed around the perimeter, the security presence at the the 4 main entrances now to the gaming area, that has made a huge difference. And so the numbers speak for themselves in the way that they've continued to decrease and where they are now. So. And
were any of them false IDs? I know you said the one on the July 4th slipped by. What were the other 3, if you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I've sort of focused on that one being the lengthiest of them, but I can always get that information for you. So.
And thank you. I'm always interested in is the minor under the age of 18?
And in this case, they all are over 18, yes, yeah. I think what I will, allude to here being July and August, in years prior, we've seen increases in those months because of colleges and schools being out of session. But the fact that we haven't, not only do we not see increases, but in fact continue to decrease, I think is, obviously exception to the fact the security are very much paying attention as best as they can, so.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the numbers go in the direction they're going.
Thank you. Yes, me too. And I'll hand it over to Beth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, and good morning, everyone. Great to see you in person. Welcome back to Springfield. as you know, I get the fun part of our presentation, community outreach and special events. And as I say each and every time, I'm going to say it again, it was a very busy Q3, as it always is. Winter touched on this earlier, Roca and Dress for Success event. This was a workforce development partnership that we have been working on. Many of our colleagues are, including myself, are very involved with Dress for Success and with Roca. But along with that workforce development aspect of that event, we also presented each group with a check for $5,000 to help with their workforce initiatives and education at both of those. Going to the right there, Roca check presentation. This was part of our grant program, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But we went to Roca to present them with a $30,000 grant, which was so exciting for us. Again, a longtime partner. And we went to surprise them, and they surprised us with a day of appreciation for our partnership. So we're very proud of that. A great day for everybody. A lot of us were there to celebrate. RGEM event at MGM. Responsible Gaming Education Month. A great event also kicked off the football season. So we took that opportunity to have that event in our sports book or just outside of our sports book. So lots of games and a lot of really great interaction with our guests. So it was very successful. I did throw in a gratuitous shot of a picture of Dan Miller and myself. One of our local media came to cover the event, got some great coverage of that. But a photojournalist came, did not bring a reporter, so I got to put on my reporter hat and interviewed Dan Miller, so just had to throw that in. If we could go to the next slide, please. Part of our events, the Mass Mutual Center Plaza ribbon cutting for the Landing, a great event in August, one that has been much anticipated in the grand opening of the garage as well. So that was a great event, which kicked off a season, a great inaugural season of that space. To host events, game day events for the Thunderbirds and also for other activities and performers who are coming to the Mass Mutual Center. So we look forward to that coming up in the spring and in the summer once again. On the bottom left, you see the Springfield Puerto Rican Parade, which we were very happy to support again this year. We had a lot of team members marching in that. And we also, once again, hosted Salsa Salpafuera, and that was an event that we hosted on our plaza in collaboration with that group. It is a festival, a celebration after the Puerto Rican Parade, which had thousands of people, really great turnout. So very proud to be part of that once again. On the right, you can see in August, at the end of August, we did celebrate our 7th anniversary, which is very hard to believe, but we really focused on our staff and our team. We had a great party all day long, so just wanted to give a shout out and a happy birthday to us as well. If we could go to the next slide, please. Continuing with some of our outreach in Q3, the Food Bank of Western Mass. This is something that we pride ourselves in working with the food bank on a monthly basis. And again, we continued that, sorting out thousands of pounds of food to be distributed to local families in need. On the right, you see United Way grocery distribution. Again, we work very closely with the United Way and have for some time now since pre-opening. This was a distribution that we did. We had our team members come in and pack boxes of food for, again, local families in need. Going to the Springfield Rescue Mission, we donated pallets of supplies for local homeless individuals, hygiene, things of that nature. And again, one of the other partners that we've had for a very long time. And we work with them on a monthly basis, and we're very proud to do that. Same goes for Loaves and Fishes. We are there just about weekly and provide food prep and serving and they're located just up the street. So we're again proud to continue with that. Very excited too for Stuff a Bus with United Way. We worked with our local media partner, Western Mass News, to collect school supplies, and then we also donated and purchased $1,000 worth of school supplies that we then gave to the United Way just before the start of the school season. And then we spent the next day stuffing all the backpacks to give to local families in need. So a great way for us to unite as a team and to help our community. If we could go to the next slide, please. So just to recap, Q3 serving over 1,800 meals, hundreds of grocery bags distributed. And again, at a time when this is so important with what's happening throughout the country, we're so proud. I've said the word proud so many times today, but proud and excited to be able to continue to help in that way when the need has never been greater. So going on to grants totaling over 160,000, which you can see some of our community partners, 14 of them that were recipients of that. So that continues, and stay tuned for Q4 and next year. We have a lot of fun things planned for that. If we could go to the next slide, please. On to entertainment, which I also get to present to you. If we could go to the next one. So at the Mass Mutual Center, Counting Crows, Lamb of God, the Black Keys, all really great performances that drove a lot of traffic to downtown. Sold out opening night for the Springfield Thunderbirds. So that was great. I'm kind of leaving WWE Monday Night Raw for the last, that was in September. A historic day for the city of Springfield and for the Mass Mutual Center and MGM. If we could go to the next slide, please. So for the first time, this was a big first. John Cena, who has ties to Springfield, went to Springfield College. He chose Springfield and working with our team at the Mass Mutual Center to come as part of his final tour. Springfield has never seen so many people downtown. And for the Mass Mutual Center, this was televised internationally on Netflix. This was a record-breaking event, not only for MMC, but also for Springfield. Highest gross revenue for ticket sales, food and beverage, merchandise in the history of the Mass Mutual Center. 1.1 million, that's economic impact for a single day event. So I see you smiling, Commissioner Hill. So this was really a great, great day for the city, for MGM, and for the Mass Mutual Center. You can see on the bottom left, we have never had more people at the Mass Mutual Center in the history of the MMC than we had for the WWE event. So exciting time, and wanted to share a little bit, go down into some of the granulars about what a fabulous day that was.
Can we give Commissioner Hill an opportunity here? I know what he's going to say.
I think I know what he's going to say, too.
So as you know, he's from West Newbury, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from Ipswich. And he was at the Garden, I believe, Monday night. And he went and ate at the Clam Box, home of the Ipswich Clam, the next day. So we were all so excited that he ate at the Clam Box.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
One of the greatest, and I know people may know this, Make-A-Wish Foundation
Yes.
he's part of.
Yep.
He has given the most wishes of anybody, I think, in the history of Make-A-Wish. This guy is great, and I'm not surprised that he filled this place.
The mayor was saying the same thing you were saying at the exact same time back there.
Some young people that he reached out and met with him. He's number one at Make-A-Wish, and a total gentleman. I think, thank you, Rep, for bringing that up, because that's lost. That's wrestling. He does a lot for the community.
Now, just to rehash that for the mic people, the mayor pointed out that he does number one on Make-A-Wish and including in these communities here in New England. So we appreciate the work that John Cena does do on that, and we're proud that, I'll use the word proud, Beth, that he's a native son of Massachusetts.
Just for the record, Commissioner Broder and I did try to get the meeting for that particular day so that we could go that night, but that didn't happen. So I hope
Tickets went fast.
We were hoping to be here that day.
And can I add, he's just a lovely person. I think Mayor Sarno can attest to that too. And I know he did a lot of things with our guests that evening, but also did some private things that didn't get much media attention in the Springfield area, which I know you're aware of as well. So just a fabulous person, and really took the time to make the most of his visit here. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Upcoming entertainment at the Mass Mutual Center. Upcoming the Harvest Festival that has happened, but if we're talking Q3, that was what was upcoming at that point. We do have the Festival of Trees, also Hoop Hall Classic, the 100-year tour of the Harlem Globetrotters. Here's a first one for the Springfield Thunderbirds and the Mass Mutual Center hosting Dropkick Murphys post-game concert. That's going to be, I'm sure, sold out. So very, very exciting excited about that. Mercy Me also coming to the Mass Mutual Center, and a few other things that are in the works that we'll be announcing that I'm not privy to announce at this moment. If we could go to the next slide, please. So at MGM Springfield and Symphony Hall, we had one night of Queen, which was a great event. So many people came to that, which is always fabulous. Matt Frazier always sells out, does very well. Ryan Adams also here at the Springfield Symphony Hall. Want to point out our Free Music Friday, and this is something that I've talked to you about over the years, but Free Music Friday was the most successful that we have ever seen. I feel like I say this every year after the end of the season, but outdoor concerts on our plaza, thousands of people coming, enjoying a night out for free under the stars, and it could not have gone better this year. So stay tuned for some more announcements as we look towards the next year. If we could go to the next slide, please. Coming up, entertainment at MGM Springfield, we have Chelsea Handler coming back. She always does really well here. Aaron Lewis, again, native here, so he always sells out. We have comedian Brad Williams coming. Croce plays Croce. And Air Supply, that's this weekend, I believe. So lots ahead. And a lot for the holidays, which I will discuss next time, but very much looking forward to kicking off Q4. And that does it for us at MGM Springfield. So thank you so much for having us.
I have a question, Beth. I know that Commissioner Hill and myself made it out to the Big E in West Springfield this year. Does that drive an uptick there at the casino when that period comes? Are there more people to visit?
Yes. Yes and no. It's all, we very much welcome those who are leaving the fair, spent the day, and want to come. We do have people that park because parking is free, and there's a shuttle service that goes to the Big E, run not by us, but yeah, we do, which is great. It's not huge, but we're great partners with them. We also have a presence at the Big E as well, so it's a really good partnership.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's why I brought it up.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions, commissioners? All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you to MGM. All right. I'm going to kick it back to you, Chief Delaney.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So the last item we have up today, we have Tim Sheehan here from the City of Springfield. He's the Chief Development Officer. And we asked him to come here today to talk about some of the things that are going on in downtown Springfield. There are a lot of exciting things that are happening in downtown Springfield, some which have to do with the Community Mitigation Fund, some which do not. We like to think that hopefully the Community Mitigation Funds may have helped the city leverage some of these other projects to get them done. But with that, I'll turn it over to Tim to give you an update on what's happening here in Springfield.
Good to see you again, Tim.
Commissioners, it's always great to have you in the city of Springfield. And my message to you today is that you have been an extraordinary partner with the city in terms of the redevelopment efforts that we've been advancing for the Main Street Convention Center district in the city. What does that mean? Let's go back and take a look at where we've been. 2019 non-transportation planning grant, $50,000. 2020 specific mitigation grant, $250,000. And a specific mitigation grant of $100,000. 2021, a specific mitigation grant of $400,000. 2022, a transportation construction grant of $1.5 million, and a specific mitigation grant of $300,000. 2023, a $1.5 million transportation construction grant. FY 2025, a $1.5 million transportation construction grant. 2026, a $320,000 regional planning grant and a community planning grant of $225,000. And a community planning grant of $250,000, a transportation construction grant of $600,000, and a transportation construction grant of $1.5 million, totaling just shy of $9 million. So what have we done with those efforts? This is the geography of our investment. It includes the Main Street corridor, the Court Square public realm. I encourage you after the meeting's done to go out and take a look at how beautiful Court Square looks. It is simply fantastic. And at previous meetings that you've held in the city, the commissioners have responded to how beautiful Court Square looks with First Church, and that it is so typical New England in terms of public amenity, common space, and we have taken the development of the blocks across from the casino all the way back to Willow Street, and we are advancing projects there. Most specifically, we are advancing with McCaffrey, a construction group, a development group out of Chicago, on a 112 unit residential mixed-use project with activated ground floor commercial. They are already out soliciting for tenants in terms of that activated ground floor. They are certainly looking at having tenants that are activating and creating pedestrian activity between the Mass Mutual Center and MGM as the two anchors for the corridor. Next slide, please. Again, this is giving you some three-dimensional sense of what the district is, with Court Square right at the center, Mass Mutual, and then looking further south, you've got the MGM campus. Next slide, please. So the public realm first phase was really focused on all of Court Square. Again, it's just amazing in terms of the overall transformation. Many of you may remember the walkway between MGM and Court Square and Symphony Hall. That was not a pleasant pedestrian experience. Now it is safe, it is well lit, it is really making the connection between MGM and Symphony Hall and making it a vibrant place that visitors to MGM would certainly want to traverse back into the Court Square area and to our beautiful Symphony Hall. Next slide, please. Again, these are just some of the planning documents. Next slide. This is the result. It's amazing, and it represents a $10 million transformation of what was a dated and somewhat rundown, central common area for the entire city. Next slide. So then we turned our attention, obviously, to the clock tower and the Colonial Block. And, those are the buildings that are right across the street from the casino. Many of you have looked at them, and they have appeared empty for what seems like over a decade now plus. The development is active. McCaffrey is actually in the buildings now doing demolition and advancing the redevelopment of those buildings. Interestingly enough, we had a clock on top of the clock tower that told the right time 2 times a day. McCaffrey has looked at that as, a significant component of their development. They took on the repair and relighting of that clock as one of the first efforts that they wanted to advance because it recognized the historic significance of the buildings. And also it was an icon that you can see pretty much from probably about 3/4 of all of Main Street, looking either north or south. So it was pretty amazing to see that clock be restored. It hadn't been working in well over 30 years. I think it was closer to 50 years. So it was an amazing addition back to the public space in downtown. Next slide, please. Again, we are advancing a parking garage with funding that was provided through the mitigation fund. It's roughly a 400 space garage. It's intended to serve the whole district, going all the way down from State to Union. There's a whole series of surface parking lots, and it's taking those surface parking lots, better managing the parking needs of the area through a structured parking facility so that those surface lots can then become development lots in the future. This is the design of the garage. It's absolutely beautiful. It's in keeping with the industrial sense of the neighborhood that's back there and the character of the whole area. And it's going to be integrated into the neighborhood well. Again, it's a very modern facility. And I call your attention to all of the glass that's there and the public art. It's really opening up that whole area. And in front of it, there's an additional open space that would be utilized by the community as well. Next slide. These are some of the wayfinding concepts that we are advancing right now. We're really moving forward this year with the state and Main district to brand the district so that the community has a sense of what's going on and how what area of the city they're actually in. And those are the concepts that we're advancing right now. Next slide. And this is kind of the placement of where the wayfinding would go. As you can see, that is the clock tower on the Masonic building. Next slide. These are the concepts in terms of where we're putting the state and Main district logo. These are some of the lighting design work that was done as part of the park restoration. And it's amazing when you look at it at night. It really activates the whole area, and it gets you a sense that this is a really safe pedestrian environment. Next slide. And again, this is the district. I want to come back to the garage because it's very important to understand where we're at in that. And we've certainly gone way beyond drawings with the garage. It really is into design development at this point. Getting into, we've hired Desmond as the designer that will take it into construction design. And then we intend to go out and solicit for GC. And we are anticipating that early next year. And I'm happy to take any questions you have. I also wanted to highlight the fact that it may be $9 million that the fund has invested just in economic development and redevelopment efforts in the city. That does not represent your total investment. Your total investment has been on an annual basis, roughly $3 million a year, which is absolutely fantastic. And that has covered projects that have been advanced for infrastructure, for health and human services, for the fire department, and for the police department. You've been a fantastic partner, and as you can tell, we are exceedingly disappointed that the funding has been moved. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tim. Commissioner Broda and Commissioner O'Brien, and we'll move to this side.
Thank you. I have to say that I was here in a past life in the AG's office, and I would come out here and I remember what the MGM spot looked like before the construction and was here for the ribbon cutting. It's a phenomenal transformation. I did want to circle back to First Church. Joe and I were actually talking about it on the way in, the sort of the quintessential look and the anchor in that park. And I don't know if you're at liberty to say plans, status, anything in regards to kind of taking that piece right in the middle and what the plan is for that.
So right now, First Church has got roughly, excuse me, $5 million worth of deferred maintenance. We are advancing right now an effort to do roof work and drainage issues relative to the building so that we stop any water issues from further damaging the building. That investment is approximately $2.5 million, and that work is happening right now. We are intending on looking at funding the remainder of that over time. we did apply for community preservation funding. Unfortunately, we were denied by the CPA for that. But we are scouring sources to come up with additional funding. The mayor and I have had this conversation multiple times that we have to find the investment for First Church because we have gotten what nobody thought we were going to get done, which was 31 Elm in that condition. We've taken care of the park at this point. We've made the connections. The church is the next focus for us going forward, for sure.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal accomplishment. It is sort of the missing piece to have it all, to have the puzzle be complete, looking out on the square. But it's very impressive the work that you and the mayor and the city have done also.
Thank you.
Amazing stuff. It's a former rep and a former mayor, and I know how hard it is to sell a long-term vision, right? A lot of these kinds of investments are, you kind of have to have a dream and recognize that you make these investments with the hope that it will lead to, that it will be a catalyst, right? And that it will lead to further opportunities, further growth. And kudos to you guys for embracing that, because sometimes it's hard to sell when there are so many needs in a community.
So an interesting stat, 31 Elm, in terms of that particular redevelopment, they've done the first turnover of their leases. They are 100% occupied. They have a waiting list, and the rent went up.
Good news almost all the way around, right? Excuse me. Can you bring up that one of those first master plan slides that has kind of the biggest scope?
The three-dimensional one?
If you could, yeah.
Let me see if I can help them get that.
That'll work. That's terrific. So what I'm trying to tease out, I heard Mayor Sarno loud and clear about some of the concerns about particular properties that are not performing well, that are not fitting into the vision. Do those appear on this on this development plan?
101 State.
Yes, it would be, you see where the Mass Mutual Center is?
Sure enough.
It's diagonal across the street on the MGM campus, right on that corner.
So going south? Oh, on the logo, sure.
Yeah.
It's a significant property, and quite frankly, the development is really looking at, you've got the anchor as the Mass Mutual Center. You have McCaffrey's development taking the other corner. The mayor referenced a property that we took by eminent domain that's on one corner that's going into redevelopment right now. And then this property is on the fourth corner, and as has been indicated, it's been lagging with scaffolding on it since the casino's been open.
And so, given that what you've presented and what we've discussed, this is not like a finishing piece. This is a critical part of the vision for the development opportunities downtown.
It is. It's a critical corner for the whole redevelopment effort.
And in particular, as you do so much of this other terrific work, it actually makes this building or this property kind of stick out.
It makes it harder to attract additional investment because that whole corner is essentially dark.
So I hope we can make more, you all can make more progress on that. That's an
Thank you.
important piece.
Commissioner Skinner?
Okay, I'm going to try to utilize this so I don't have the mic man come my way. Almost $10 million. And to quote my colleague, that's real money. We can't take credit for the CMF fund being written into the statute. I think maybe two of our colleagues can. But what I can take credit for is recognizing worthy projects. And the city of Springfield, through you, Tim, have demonstrated that these are very worthy projects. And so pleased to have my time here on this commission be filled with enabling those projects. And so congrats to you all, and I hope you continue to find funding. Look forward to being invited back once you're ready to cut the ribbon on that garage. It looks like a beautiful building.
Thank you. And that point is very well taken with us. I mean, you have been judicious in terms of your funding awards for worthy projects, as you said. You know, we haven't won all of our submissions, but you know, the team does a very, very good job in terms of reviewing and making recommendations to you. And again, the whole commission has just been fantastic to work with.
I want to thank Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Broder's legislative aides. I know they knew they did the CMF fund. Did you have anything to add, Commissioner Hill?
I don't have anything to add to the presentation. It was excellent, and we're so grateful that you were able to come here and share this with us. Back in Boston, we ask questions about these projects all day long, and for us to be able to come here today and hear it firsthand from you was fabulous. The only thing I would add, Mr. Chairman, it has nothing to do with the presentation, but that young gentleman who's running around with the microphone stuff, he's moving and grooving here. He's better than any roadie I ever saw for or Paul McCartney. So kudos to him for making our AV stuff work. I think they still call it AV. At least back in my day they did. So a little shout out to him.
There was a moment where Tim was handed a mic and he looked like Bob Barker. That's pretty good. Any other questions, commissioners, comments? All right. Thank you. I believe that ends Chief Delaney, your piece. I'll just note that we love being in Springfield, and I love seeing familiar faces from, I think all of us do, our time in state government. And I'm reminded of Vanessa serving Governor Baker when I was up in the Chief Secretary's office. Thank you for doing that. And I will say that this is a lovely building, beautiful building, so thanks for welcoming us here. Commissioners, do we have any commissioner updates? Any other business we didn't anticipate? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
We have a tie, so who seconds that?
Second.
There we go. All right, Commissioner, do we have to do we're all done.
We can just say aye altogether.
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays on that one, ever. All right, thank you all.